Yeah, that's what I just did.
Okay.
I stopped it and restarted. Thank you. Y'all help me keep my eye on that 15-minute limit. Okay, so this plasma membrane, where we've got this double layer, we've got all these different proteins that are embedded into it. These proteins have different functions. Like I've said, some of them are just simply a channel protein to allow stuff to come through. Some of them, see how we've got like these little chains existing? Okay, some of the chains actually come off the proteins. Some of the chains are coming off of the actual phospholipid. They are functioning like little antennas, okay? They can either be something that's communicating to another cell, or they can be a receptor. All right, so just keep those in mind, because we're going to be coming back to that in a later chapter. So, if we have these phospholipids, this is affecting how this plasma membrane is going to function, because it's going to be controlling. If it's lipid soluble, come on in. If it's not, oh, no, you got to have some help, okay? You just don't get to come in here, no, okay? So this is some of the reasons. But think about molecules in your body. We've mentioned molecules such as our foodstuffs, okay? The sugars, the fats, the proteins. Well, wait a minute. What other types of molecules might be in my bloodstream right now, flying around my body, trying to get to the cells? Do you think of anything else that might be flying around?
Did you mention carbohydrates?
Well, the sugars, the glucoses, because everything, when we think about sugars, okay, my favorite, all right, table sugar. Oh, yeah, okay. That one is a disaccharide. It's a glucose and a fructose. But which of the sugars, and then if we think about a carbohydrate, okay, think about your starches, think about your breads, think about your potatoes, which are really long chains of glucoses, okay? But the simplest sugar the body can use is glucose. So unless you take in glucose directly, okay, like good old chocolate, all right, you know, that's a glucose directly. That's why you get this huge burst of energy, because it gets to go wham, bam, right into the cell to be used for ATP, but then it's, okay? Now, what other things besides foodstuffs?
What about oxygen and water, or would water be categorized as a food?
Now, water is going to actually be a little, it's going to deal more with osmosis, because water, if you don't forget, water is diffusion across the selectively permeable membrane, but it's diffusion of only the water, nothing else, okay? One of the things that's good about that, okay, if we think about our cells being these squishy cell membranes, well, they're existing in a water environment, and the inside of the cell is a water environment, okay? And we need to make sure that those cells that they stay nice and squishy, that they don't go cremate, dehydrated, or blow up because it got too much water, okay? So it's a nice balance. So osmosis, the water in the body, is really going to help be responsible for that. But salts have got to help that. Amazing. Now,
so how can the cells overload like water or
like hyperhydrate?
Yeah.
Okay. That's going to be the situation where you are taking in so much fluid, the body cannot utilize it all, and you can't urinate it out quick enough, that sort of thing. And people can hyperhydrate. Yeah, and if they don't stop and let the body regulate, it can kill them. But now, what about something such as hormones? Have you ever thought about that flying around in the blood?
Not really, just when I work out.
Okay. Guess what? We're going to think about that a whole lot. A lot. Because there's two systems that run the body. The nervous system, the endocrine system. These two systems run the body. Hormones are going to be so cool. Trust me on that. So now, the cell's function being so dependent on everything that's outside of it, okay? Well, this means, I gotta have some proteins that do some other stuff, all right? So I'm looking at this now and I'm going, well, wait a minute. How is my cell gonna do all this? So now, wow, look at the types of protein that I've got. I've got receptor proteins. Okay, so if I now have a protein that's going to be a receptor. What does it mean to be a receptor? To receive something. Now, that tells me that if this is my receptor protein, whatever it receives, because remember, proteins are specific, okay? It tells me that whatever is outside my cell here, it needs to fit right here, right? So, my particle needs to have the shape that will fit this protein. Now, if it does, for example, a hormone, okay? So if this is a hormone and it fits into this protein, what is that going to, but wait a minute, do I see anything going on down here? Do I see an exit down here? And I'm sorry, I know this is crazy. I will promise y'all next week to have some kind of different setup for next week. Do I see an exit?
No.
So what did that tell me about that particle? Does that particle make it into the cell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So,
No.
it's going to get absorbed.
Oh, no.
So-
Do I count?
No. Does it get absorbed in the protein cell? Or-
That's, well, it's going to be what?
Well, I was gonna say when it gets in there, it's gonna stay in there.
Now, do you guys remember in this structure that we have, we've got 3 little proteins. It's called the G protein complex. No? Okay, so when we look at the cell as a whole, this is our idea of a cell, pretty much, right? But y'all were at least taught in part 1 that that's not the case, right? Please tell me that. Please, 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 please.
I'm gonna have to teach you that too.
That there are different shapes.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got our nucleus, right? Endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, mitochondria, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, in the structure, where we're going to have all these little different proteins embedded into the lipid membrane and so forth, okay? Some of them had a little G protein complex beside it. Three little tiny proteins just sitting right there next to that little protein, just waiting. Just waiting. Because guess what? They're right there next to this receptor protein. So, if we're looking at our blood, all right, and that hormone's woo, 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 and it comes to this cell, and that cell is supposed to accept that protein, that hormone, and hormone goes, oh yay, I get to stop traveling. And it gets to go to this protein, and then it doesn't go inside the cell. It sets off a series of reactions in that protein. And it sets off a series of reactions in the little G protein complex. And the third one gets to go into space. It gets to disconnect, okay? And that little third protein, okay, can move away and go into space, like a spacewalk, okay? Now, it can do one of two things. First, what did we say is the only thing that the cell can make? DNA, our chromosomes. DNA holds the genes that code for the protein, which is the product of the cell. So the only thing that the cell can make is a protein. So if I'm looking at my chromosomes, okay, and let's say that we have coded for a protein, and we have gone through our endoplasmic reticulum, the Golgi apparatus, blah, 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 okay, ribosomes, all that sort of stuff, okay, and I've come out on the other side of the Golgi apparatus, and I now have my protein. That protein can go to be used either inside the cell, or it can make its way to the plasma membrane and go outside the cell to do what it's supposed to do. Everybody with me? Now, this little third protein right here that got let loose on the spacewalk, it can go to this protein and go, no. You're not right. All right? So let's correct you. And it might correct that protein right there. Or that third protein can continue the spacewalk all the way to the actual gene. So if I've got my gene down here, and this is that gene on this DNA strand that needs to make a protein, based on the hormone that was received, it can come down here and say, hey, I need to alter the product that you're getting ready to make and alter the product at that level. Now, I'm using the example of a hormone. Why? Now, speak up for me, Calvin. Man, I can't hear you up here. I'm too deaf.
I was thinking we all produce hormones when we all need it.
Hormones are specific, okay? Hormones are going to do something specific. For example, follicle stimulating hormone. Ever heard of that? All right? What does it do?
It's,
I wouldn't exactly expect you to know because we haven't covered that chapter yet.
Puberty.
It will become active, okay? Do it, Dustin? Well, when we go into puberty, we get those secondary sex characteristics, and that's part of it. Follicle stimulating hormone is a gonadotropin. And if we think about males, okay? Males have testes, women have the ovaries. Follicle stimulating hormone would come in and it would alter the product, alter the protein to help stimulate sperm production and egg production. See how cool that is? So, some of those proteins act like a receptor and they alter the product that's being made by the cell. Does that make sense? Okay.